The new 10 pence 1968, Elizabeth II DG Reg FD coin was one of the first modern decimal coins issued in the United Kingdom as part of the country's transition from the old pound SD, pounds, shillings, and pence system to a decimal currency. It was struck under the reign of Elizabeth II and carries the Latin inscription Elizabeth II DG Reg FD, which stands for Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, meaning Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. Although dated 1968, the coin was introduced several years before Decimal Day, February 15, 1971, to help the public gradually adapt to the new system. The 10 pence coin was designed to have the same size and weight as the pre-decimal florin, 2 shillings, allowing both coins to circulate together at equal value, 10 new pence equals 2 shillings, during the transition period. The obverse, front, of the 1968 new 10 pence features the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II designed by Arnold Machin, which shows the Queen wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. Around the portrait appears the inscription Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 1968. This Machin portrait was used on British coinage from 1968 until 1984 and is often referred to as the first decimal portrait. The reverse, back, of the coin was designed by Christopher Ironside, the artist responsible for the reverse designs of the first decimal coins. It displays a crowned lion passing guard ant, a lion walking with one forepaw raised and looking outward, which is derived from the Royal Arms of England. Below the lion appears the denomination new pence, indicating that it belonged to the new decimal system. The word new was included on early issues, 1968 to 1981, to distinguish them from the old pence. From 1982 onward, the wording was changed simply to 10 pence. In terms of specifications, the 1968 new 10 pence coin is made from cupronickel, 75% copper and 25% nickel. It has a diameter of 28.5 mm and weighs 11.31 grams, with a milled, reeded, edge. Because it matched the size and weight of the florin, it was one of the larger British decimal coins before size reductions were implemented in the 1990s. In 1992, a smaller 10 pence coin was introduced to reduce production costs and make coins lighter to carry. The older, larger coins were gradually withdrawn and eventually demonetized in 1993. As a result, the 1968 large 10 pence is no longer legal tender in the UK today. The mintage of the 1968 new 10 pence was very high, as millions were required to prepare the country for decimalization. In fact, over 100 million coins were struck in 1968 alone at the Royal Mint. Because of this large mintage, the coin is generally common and not rare. In circulated condition, it typically holds only modest collector value, often close to face value or slightly higher depending on condition. However, uncirculated examples, especially those with original mint luster or from special mint sets, can command a higher premium among collectors. Proof versions were also produced for collectors, featuring sharper detail and a mirror-like finish. Historically, the 1968 new 10 pence represents a significant milestone in British monetary history. The United Kingdom had used the complex pound SD system for centuries, where 1 pound equaled 20 shillings and 1 shilling equaled 12 pence, 240 pence per pound. The Decimal Currency Act of 1966 set the stage for conversion to a simpler system of 100 pence per pound. The early release of decimal coins in 1968, including the 5 pence and 10 pence, allowed businesses, banks, and the public to familiarize themselves with decimal denominations before Decimal Day in 1971. The design continuity with the florin eased confusion, making the transition smoother. Collectors today view the 1968 new 10 pence as an important transitional coin bridging Britain's pre-decimal and decimal eras. While not rare, it is historically meaningful, especially as one of the first decimal coins bearing the Machin portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. Its bold lion design reflects centuries of heraldic tradition, and its inscription in Latin connects modern coinage to long-standing royal customs. For numismatists interested in British currency reform, the 1968 new 10 pence stands as a symbol of modernization, economic reform, and the enduring image of Queen Elizabeth II on the nation's coinage. Next top. The new 10 pence 1971, Elizabeth II DG Reg FD coin is a historically important British decimal coin issued in the year of the United Kingdom's official decimalisation, which took place on February 15, 1971, a date known as Decimal Day. This coin was struck during the reign of Elizabeth II and bears the Latin inscription Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 1971, which expands to Elizabeth II de Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, meaning Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. The 1971 issue is especially significant because although 10 pence coins were first introduced in 1968 to prepare the public for decimalisation, 1971 marked the first full year the new decimal currency system officially replaced the centuries-old pound SD system of pounds, shillings, and pence. Under the old system, 1 pound equaled 20 shillings and 1 shilling equaled 12 pence, 240 pence per pound, but from 1971 onward, 1 pound was divided into 100 new pence, making calculations much simpler for commerce and accounting. The obverse, front, of the 1971 new 10 pence features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II designed by Arnold Machin, often referred to as the first decimal portrait. In this effigy, the Queen is shown facing right, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, with a youthful and elegant depiction that became one of the most recognized coin portraits of the 20th century. Surrounding the portrait is the inscription Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 1971, identifying the monarch in the year of issue. Machin's portrait was used on British coinage from 1968 until 1984 and is widely admired for its simplicity and clarity. The reverse, back, of the coin was designed by Christopher Ironside, the artist responsible for the reverse designs of the first decimal series. It displays a crowned lion passing guard and a lion walking with its right forepaw raised and head turned toward the viewer, a symbol taken from the royal arms of England and representing strength, authority, and national heritage. Beneath the lion appears the denomination new pence in bold lettering. The word new was included on coins from 1968 to 1981 to distinguish decimal pence from the old pre-decimal pennies. Starting in 1982, the wording was shortened to simply 10 pence. In terms of technical specifications, the 1971 new 10 pence coin was struck in cupronickel, composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It has a diameter of 28.5 millimeters, a weight of 11.31 grams, and a milled, reeded, edge. Notably, this large 10 pence coin was intentionally made identical in size and weight to the pre-decimal florin, 2 shillings. Because 1 florin was equal in value to 10 new pence, both coins were allowed to circulate together during the transition period. This clever decision by the Royal Mint helped ease the public into the new system, as people were already familiar with the florin's size and value. The 1971 issue continued using this large format, which remained in circulation until a smaller, lighter 10 pence coin was introduced in 1992 to reduce costs and improve convenience. The original large 10 pence coins, including the 1971 issue, were gradually withdrawn and officially demonetized in 1993, meaning they are no longer legal tender today. The mintage of the 1971 new 10 pence was very substantial, as large quantities were needed to support the launch of decimal currency across the United Kingdom. Millions of coins were produced to meet demand from banks, businesses, and the general public. Because of this high mintage, the coin is generally common in circulated condition and does not command a high premium among collectors. In well-worn condition, it is typically valued modestly, often only slightly above its face value from a numismatic standpoint. However, uncirculated examples with strong mint luster, as well as proof versions issued in official mint sets, can be more desirable and carry higher collector value. Condition plays a major role in determining worth, with coins graded in brilliant uncirculated or proof condition being the most sought after. Historically and culturally, the 1971 new 10 pence represents a landmark moment in British economic modernization. Decimalisation was one of the most significant monetary reforms in UK history, replacing a complex system that had roots in medieval times. The 10-pence coin, along with the 5-pence and 50-pence pieces, was central to this change. Its design combines traditional heraldic imagery with modern minting standards, symbolizing continuity amid reform. The crown lion links the coin to centuries of royal symbolism, while the clean, modern portrait of Queen Elizabeth II reflects the forward-looking spirit of the era. For collectors and historians alike, the 1971 new 10-pence stands not merely as a circulating coin but as a tangible artifact of Britain's transition into a more streamlined financial system, embodying both historical legacy and national progress. Next top. The 1992 10-pence coin of the United Kingdom, bearing the inscription Elizabeth II DG Reg FD, is a significant issue from the later period of decimal British coinage and was struck during the reign of Elizabeth II. By 1992, the UK had been using the decimal system for over 20 years, following decimalisation in 1971, when the currency shifted to 100 pence per pound. The 10-pence denomination itself was first introduced in 1968 to prepare the public for decimalisation and was initially the same size and weight as the old florin, 2 shillings, allowing both coins to circulate together for a time. However, by 1992, economic factors, especially rising metal prices and the need for more practical coin sizes, led to a major change. That year is notable because it saw the introduction of a smaller, lighter 10-pence coin, while the larger pre-1992 version was still being phased out. Therefore, 2 different sizes dated 1992 exist, the older large type and the new reduced size type, making 1992 a transitional and historically important year for collectors and numismatists. The obverse, front, of the 1992 coin features the third definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Raphael Makhlouf. This portrait was used on circulating British coinage from 1985 to 1997. In this depiction, the Queen faces right and wears the George IV state diadem, a crown traditionally worn for formal state occasions such as the state opening of Parliament. The portrait shows a mature and dignified likeness, reflecting the monarch's long reign and established presence. Surrounding the portrait is the Latin legend Elizabeth II DG Reg FD. These abbreviations stand for Dei Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, meaning by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. The phrase Defender of the Faith dates back to 1521 when Pope Leo X granted the title to King Henry VIII. Despite England's later break with Rome, the title remained part of the British monarch's official style. The use of Latin on British coins preserves a tradition stretching back many centuries and connects modern coinage with the long history of the monarchy. The reverse, back, of the 1992 10-pence coin was designed by Christopher Ironside, the artist responsible for creating most of the original decimal coin designs introduced in the late 1960s. His design for the 10-pence features a crowned lion passant guard ant, adapted from the Royal Arms of England. The lion, one of the most enduring symbols in British heraldry, represents courage, authority, and national identity. Above the lion appears the denomination 10 pence. This design remained unchanged from the coin's introduction in 1968 until 2008, when the Royal Mint redesigned the reverse sides of UK coins to form a unified shield pattern. Thus, the 1992 issue represents part of the long-running classic decimal series before the major redesign of the 21st century. In terms of specifications, the smaller 1992 10-pence coin, the new type introduced that year, is made from cupronickel, an alloy of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs approximately 6.5 grams, measures 24.5 millimeters in diameter, and has a reeded, milled edge. By comparison, the earlier large version weighed 11.31 grams and measured 28.5 millimeters in diameter. The reduction in size made the coin more economical to produce and easier to use in vending machines and everyday transactions. Both versions dated 1992 were struck by the Royal Mint, which has produced British coinage for centuries and continues to do so today. Mintages were high because the new smaller coins needed to replace the older large coins in circulation, meaning that standard circulated examples are common and typically hold only face value unless found in exceptional condition. From a collector's standpoint, the 1992 10-pence coin is valued primarily for its transitional status. Having two sizes in 1 year creates interest among date-and-type collectors who seek both varieties. Coins in brilliant uncirculated, BU, or proof condition, especially those issued in official annual proof sets, are more desirable and can command modest premiums depending on condition and packaging. However, ordinary circulated examples remain widely available and are not considered rare. The coin also reflects broader economic and technological considerations of the early 1990s, as governments worldwide adjusted coin sizes and compositions in response to inflation and material costs. Historically, the 1992 10-pence coin stands as part of the final years of the Makhlouf portrait era, which ended in 1997 when a new portrait was introduced. It also represents the closing chapter of the original decimal reverse designs created in the late 1960s. Although everyday in appearance, the coin embodies layers of British history, monarchical tradition in its Latin inscription, heraldic symbolism in its lion design, and modern economic adaptation in its reduced size. For many people in the next top, the 2005 10-pence coin of the United Kingdom, bearing the inscription Elizabeth II DG Reg FD, is part of the modern decimal coinage issued during the reign of Elizabeth II and represents one of the final years of the original reverse design series that had been in use since decimalization. By 2005, the 10-pence coin had already undergone one major transformation. In 1992 its size was reduced from the original 1968 large format to a smaller, lighter version to reduce production costs and improve practicality in everyday transactions and vending machines. The 2005 issue belongs to this smaller type, which measures 24.5 mm in diameter, weighs approximately 6.5 grams, is struck in cupronickel, 75% copper and 25% nickel, and features a reeded, milled, edge. It was produced for circulation by the Royal Mint, the official body responsible for manufacturing British coinage, with mintages reaching into the tens of millions, making it a common coin in everyday change across the United Kingdom. The obverse of the 2005 10-pence coin features the fourth definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Ian Rank-Broadley. This portrait was introduced in 1998 and remained in use on circulating coinage until 2015. In this depiction, the Queen faces right and wears the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a piece of jewellery frequently associated with her official portraits. Rank-Broadley's design presents a more realistic and mature likeness compared to earlier portraits, intentionally showing the monarch without idealization, reflecting her long reign and experience. Surrounding the portrait is the Latin legend Elizabeth II DG Reg FD, which stands for De Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, meaning by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. The title Defender of the Faith has been part of the English and later British monarch style since 1521 and continues to appear on coinage as a symbol of constitutional and historical continuity. The use of Latin abbreviations on British coins maintains a centuries-old tradition, linking modern decimal currency to medieval and early modern royal coinage. The reverse of the 2005 10-pence coin carries the long-running design created by Christopher Ironside, originally introduced in 1968 at the beginning of the decimal era. The design features a crowned lion passant guardant, adapted from the Royal Arms of England. The lion, walking with one forepaw raised and its head facing forward, is one of the most enduring heraldic symbols in British history, representing strength, courage, and royal authority. Above the lion appears the denomination 10 pence, clearly identifying the coin's value. This reverse design remained in continuous use for 40 years, from 1968 until 2008, when a major redesign of UK coinage replaced the traditional individual motifs with a unified shield concept spanning multiple denominations. Therefore, the 2005 issue stands among the last years of the original decimal reverse type before the introduction of the Royal Shield series in 2008. In terms of economic and historical context, the 2005 10-pence coin circulated during a period of relative monetary stability in the United Kingdom. The decimal system had long been established, and the smaller 10-pence format introduced in 1992 had become familiar to the public. By this time, inflation had reduced the purchasing power of small denominations compared to earlier decades, yet the 10-pence coin remained widely used in everyday cash transactions, public transport fares, vending machines, and retail pricing structures. The coin's copper-nickel composition provided durability and resistance to corrosion, ensuring a long circulation life. Many examples from 2005 remain in circulation today, often showing moderate wear due to years of handling. From a numismatic perspective, the 2005 10-pence coin is generally considered common in circulated condition due to high mintages. It typically carries no premium above face value unless preserved in uncirculated condition or issued as part of an official brilliant uncirculated or proof set. Proof versions, specially struck with polished dies and sharper detail, were included in annual collector's sets produced by the Royal Mint and are more desirable among collectors. However, unlike certain commemorative coins or low mintage varieties, the standard 2005 circulation strike does not rank as rare. Its significance lies more in its place within the broader timeline of British decimal coinage than in scarcity. Historically, the 2005 10-pence coin represents a mature stage of the decimal currency system introduced in 1971. It combines the long-standing heraldic lion reverse designed in the late 1960s with the later rank broadly portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, symbolizing both continuity and evolution in British coin artistry. Just 3 years later, in 2008, the reverse design would be replaced as part of a nationwide redesign initiative.